My name is Lisa Antflick. I'm one of the consultants at Expedia Cruises, and our annual event today is being hosted by our 6 Expedia Cruises locations in the Edmonton area, as well as our location in West Vancouver. It has been a long year and a half for many of us, and if you're on this call, I know you are one that loves to travel. You're missing it. I'm missing it. My passport is dusty. My carry-on bag, I don't even know where it is. It's become a laundry hamper for me. But the good news is that travel has begun. Cruising specifically has begun again in the past June, and we've had 4 months worth of sailings in Alaska, Caribbean, and Europe. River cruising has also started. And I have to say, cruising is operating with the highest health protocols, and by far, cruising is the safest way to travel. At Expedia Cruises, we have had people come back. We've had our passengers come back, as well as some of our consultants coming back, saying how wonderful it was to get out and travel again. I will let you know, and you've probably, seen all the protocols and what do I have to do and how do I have to do this. And I just want to kind of reiterate to you that it's important to use a travel consultant more now than ever. And when you book with Expedia Cruises, what you'll receive from us is our expertise. We have the knowledge of hundreds and hundreds of different cruise lines and cruise ships, so we can tell you which is the best one for you. We have great pricing available, better pricing than you'll get with the direct booking directly with the cruise lines, as well as Expedia extras, extra things such as onboard credits that you will not get if you book directly with the cruise line. Probably most important and what's on people's mind today is, what do I need to travel? And it is a little bit more complex, but I will tell you, it seems a little daunting to begin with, but once you get all your ducks in a row, and we'll make sure that we give you the proper information regarding passports, visas, entry requirements, COVID testing, and vaccine protocols. A travel advisor is here to help you in an emergency. If a problem happens, we're a phone call away, and we can take care of everything. Our name is Expedia Cruises, Air, Land, and Sea Vacation. We can take care of your entire package, your air, your hotel, your pre, your post. Whatever your dreams are, our Expedia travel advisors can help you fulfill them. We are committed to finding you the best value, and we are local in your neighborhoods. So please remember to shop local. So grab your coffee cup, sit back, and enjoy the next presentation. Our second presenter today is Tom Steer, Business Development Manager for Seabourn. So welcome, Tom.
Good morning, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Very well, very well. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so thank you for the wonderful introduction, Lisa. As Lisa mentioned, my name's Tom, and I represent Seabourn across Western Canada. Some of you may have seen me before. If you've joined us for a Holland America presentation over the past year or so, you may recognize my face because I actually represent both brands. They're sister lines, but I'm sure many of you aren't as aware of Seabourn and the world of Seabourn. So today, we are going to be dipping our toe into the world of ultra luxury with the yachts of Seabourn, and talk all about small ship cruising and really give you a flavor and an idea of what Seabourn is all about. So there's my high school picture again. I think you've seen that before, but that's a wonderful view off of the aft deck on a Seabourn vessel. But before we begin, as always, I would like to just quickly touch on those health and safety protocols that are always developing and can change on a regular basis. They are accessible on the Seabourn website as we work with the WHO, the CDC, maritime authorities, the CLEAR organizations, CLEAR Cruise Lines organization. We're in lockstep with all our fellow cruise operators to make sure we are implementing all of the latest protocols. And they can always be found on the Seabourn website and also with your Expedia Cruises consultant. As we update these, many of these will apply to sailings in the next kind of 6 months or so. If you're looking at sailing further out, these protocols and procedures will change. So 2 ways to find that information: the website but better still, always keep in touch with your Expedia Cruises consultant. They are up to date minute by minute with this information. So let's talk about the all-inclusive difference of Seabourn. So first off, I think it's very important to just give you an idea of what the Seabourn ships look like physically. How big are they? What else do you need to know? Well, we consider ourselves the newest, most consistent fleet in the ultra luxury market, and there aren't many other cruise lines in the ultra luxury market. What sets Seabourn apart is the fact the ships are very consistent in their size, and also they're all very modern. So when you kind of compare that to some of the other kind of luxury cruise lines you may see out there, you may see ships in their fleets that are very small, some much larger, and there's this variation in size and age as well. All of the Seabourn ships were built within the last 10 years to give a consistent feel. There's 3 identical sisters carrying around 450 guests, and then 2 sisters that are ever so slightly different. They have 1 extra deck portion and they carry 600 guests. Otherwise, they are all identical. So let's take a quick look around the ship, because I think this is very important. First of all, let me preface this by saying I'm sure you all have an idea of what luxury is, ultra luxury is, what luxury means to you. It's the word that is very subjective. So luxury can mean different things to different people. I'll tell you the type of luxury that you won't find on Seabourn. It isn't stuffy and stodgy and overly formal and snobby. It's not a kind of hostile, keeping up with the Joneses type atmosphere when you step on board. It's not. It's very inclusive and welcoming. It's much more of a kind of a home away from home kind of country club feel. Even though every fixture and fitting is of the utmost quality and everything feels perfect, you don't feel afraid to just relax and unwind. It is a wonderful feeling, like I say, much like a kind of country club atmosphere. The staff on board come from the finest hotelier schools and the finest luxury hotels around the world, and we have practically a 1-for-1 guest to crew ratio, which is very important, which means when you're sitting in the hot tub and somehow your glass of Montedon champagne is empty, without you even realizing that glass has been topped up by one of our incredibly gracious and intuitive staff members on board. You'll find Seabourn moments like that around the vessel throughout the itineraries. The voyages, this is key, and I'll touch on this in just a moment, but they're actually built from the ground up. We use the word curated, and that's a nice word, but what does it actually mean? As I mentioned at the beginning, Seabourn's actually a sister to Holland America Line. And as you know, Holland America have fabulous itineraries in Alaska, and some dude's going to come up in 30 minutes and tell you all about that. But Seabourn didn't just borrow those itineraries from those sister cruise lines that have been sailing in those parts of the world for many years, because Seabourn re-entered the world of Alaska cruising about 3 or 4 years ago. And instead of just using an itinerary that already existed and tweaking it, based on a map, we actually had our entire deployment team and our deployment director spend many months as boots on the ground on sailing in small vessels, charting a course based on their findings that is specific to the Seabourn ships and the size of ships. So we build these itineraries from the ground up, and that becomes very apparent when you're on board, and from hopefully when you see some of the itineraries that I'll share with you. We don't just do the same old. We create them based on our abilities and the kind of aspects of cruising that we can deliver with these small ships. So the accommodations are very kind of, again, it's not the kind of luxury that is too kind of formal and old school traditional. It's also not too slick and modern. It's just right, understated, comfortable, home away from home. This is one of our owners' suites, a fabulous owner's suite. Sorry, in fact, yes, this is one of our owner's suites, all the way at the forward portion of the ship there. And we serve complimentary fine wines and premium spirits and other beverages on board, whether that is around the ship or in your in-suite bar that is stocked with your choice, with your selection. You can either arrange that pre-cruise with your Expedia Cruises consultant, or you can wait till you're on board. But they're served around the ship. That's very nice to get used to. Whatever your tipple or preference may be, we are most likely able to source it. We cater for guests coming to us from all over the world. So try us. Let us know what your favorites are, and we will surprise you. And we have a host program on board. We have 2 hosts for every room, and this is a wonderful service. It's not as formal as a butler kind of setup. Again, that kind of has connotations of very stiff and formal. It's a wonderful a kind of a wonderful service, less intrusive, and our host will do things like pour your welcome champagne, draw a bath with rose petals, come stateroom to stateroom with those selections of soaps, depending on which kind of soap you're in the mood for that particular day. So it's an incredible service, and tipping is neither required nor expected. That's very easy to get used to. And now we include Wi-Fi. Up until recently, Wi-Fi was included in our promotions. Now it's standard, so everyone at least gets the surf Wi-Fi package. If you're in certain categories, the stream Wi-Fi, and you can upgrade to that as well. So that is wonderful. Here's a quick shot of our wonderful resorts at sea. We always say our ships are some of the finest ultra luxury resorts in the world. They just happen to be at sea. We have a dining partnership with Thomas Keller. He has his own restaurants on board our ships. It's not just a regular old cruise ship partnership with a celebrity chef. For those of you who don't know Thomas Keller, he has a number of restaurants. 2 in particular he's known for: French Laundry in California and Per Se in New York. French Laundry has been named as the best restaurant in the world many times. The late great Anthony Bourdain said it was the best restaurant, or it is the best restaurant in the world, period. That's his quote. And there's a 4-month waiting list. It's around a $400 charge per head to dine there before wine is poured. On board, everyone gets to dine in this Thomas Keller restaurant. Everyone gets at least 1 reservation. It's all part of the cruise. You don't have to pay. You don't have to wait 4 months. So it's an incredible value. If you've heard of Thomas Keller and you want to try some Thomas Keller or experience Thomas Keller dining, he has his Thomas Keller grill on board all of our ships. And we have some other incredible dining options around the ship. Everything on board a Seabourn ship is cooked à la minute. Essentially, that means each meal is individually prepared. It's not a galley kind of conveyor belt affair where the chefs are preparing batches or dozens of meals at a time. Everything, and that is reflected as soon as you experience that food on board. We have al fresco options on board, which are great if you're in the Mediterranean or the Caribbean with those sunsets. Also fantastic if you're in Antarctica or perhaps even Alaska under the heat lamps with blankets. It's an incredible affair. We have a spa program with Dr. Andrew Weil. Many of you may remember him all the way back, dating back to the 90s. He's one of the godfathers of the mindful and holistic living movement, and he has fantastic programs that we run in our spa. So Tim Rice of Broadway and West End show fame. He penned all those hit numbers from Evita, Lion King. I'm sure you know the name. He has his own show for us on board. He's not there in person always, but he does sail with us quite often. This is another cool Seabourn feature. We have a marina day where we actually drop the water sports deck, the marina off of the aft of the vessel, and we deploy the pedlos, the kayaks. Everyone has a beautiful day, enjoying those crystal clear waters, whether in the Caribbean or even in the Mediterranean, in this kind of private moment. We create a luxury bubble, so you don't have to go ashore, work with a third-party operator to get out there and have this kind of fun. We do it straight from the vessel. We also have caviar in the surf, where when we are in a small, again like a small cove or bay in the Mediterranean or in the Caribbean, we'll set up a whole beach barbecue. Then we have caviar come out. We load down a surfboard with caviar. It comes out on a jet ski from the ship. We load down the surfboard and put buckets of ice, champagne, caviar, and everyone comes out paddling out into the water and has champagne and caviar in the most idyllic setting. That's one of our Seabourn moments. Again, because we can deploy small craft from our vessels, we have something called Seabourn Ventures. This is not just about relaxing in a beautiful warm weather environment. This is about exploring and getting up close and personal in some incredible parts of the world that in many cases only ships like Seabourns can access. So we deploy Zodiacs and kayaks, groups of 12 or so on a Zodiac, groups of 12 with the kayak groups, and each one is led by one of our ventures team on board. They're the same folks who are giving those seminars on board, you're dining with, you're having social time with on board. Incredible experts, many of them doctors, engineers, marine biologists, oceanographers in their own right. So incredible experts are taking you up close and personal. They're taking you personally out there with the Ventures program. So these are paid shore excursions, by the way, full transparency. These aren't included. They run around 250 per person, but our guests love these. They're an incredible way to, as I say, explore coastlines, get a view and a perspective that you just simply wouldn't get any other way. And remember, you're not going ashore, being picked up by a bus to get on a Zodiac. It's going straight from the ship with the folks you are sailing with, who you trust, who those folks whose company you enjoy day after day on board. They're with you every step of the way. A quick look at the itineraries. We've just got a couple of minutes before I wrap up here, but I do want to take a quick peek at some of these itineraries because, as I mentioned at the beginning, Seabourn's itineraries are built from the ground up. They're curated, and when I see new cruisers come to Seabourn, and I get to meet them in person or speak with them, I often ask them, so how did you find out about Seabourn? What drew you to Seabourn? And it isn't necessarily the caviar or the champagne or those rose petals in the bathtub. Those aren't the things that triggers that initial step to cruise Seabourn. They enjoy those things and they love those things, but what does it is when they get that first peek at a map and they first see the Seabourn itineraries, because we'll go to parts of the world that other cruise lines visit too, but we get off the beaten track. So we're visiting ports that even sometimes the most seasoned travelers are unaware of. We will be the other side of an island, or we will be in a lesser known cove or bay. We'll also visit these are some examples of the Mediterranean, just to give you an idea of what I mean by this. Even in places like, well, here's an example where we will have those lesser known gems and then we'll still visit the marquee ports. So when I mean marquee, I mean the big name ports. There are certain ports if you're traveling to certain parts of the world, you still want to get to that port and that city, because it's whether you've been there before, there's so much more still to explore, or you just got to check it off your bucket list. We will still visit those places, but we'll do it differently. For example, up in Northern Europe, when we go to St. Petersburg, instead of docking out in the container port where most cruise lines have to dock, and then you get a bus 45 minutes into St. Petersburg, we dock down the Neva River, literally, I'm not exaggerating here, footsteps from the Hermitage. Literally footsteps across to the Hermitage. The same in the Mediterranean. And another example will be Portofino. Portofino, that beautiful bay in the Mediterranean, the colors, the sights, the sounds. If you've been to the Mediterranean before and you visited Portofino, you would have had to get a ferry across from Santa Margherita, about 30-minute ferry. We actually slip right in, because we're a luxury yacht. After all, we slip right in with those other yachts in Portofino itself. So that gives you an idea of how Seabourn approaches these parts of the world. We wind the clock back, make you feel you're cruising in an era, time gone by. That's apparent in the Caribbean as well. We'll visit ports that, again, many folks haven't or are unaware of or haven't heard of before, and it makes you feel like you're cruising back in the golden era of the 60s, 70s, before mass market cruising became a thing. If you were lucky enough to be on a ship and go to the Caribbean, there wasn't another soul there. Every island felt like your own. That's what we try to deliver. And I mentioned Alaska. I do just want to touch on it because it's Alaska and British Columbia. And many of you have done Alaska cruises, and you may not necessarily be thinking of Alaska when it comes to a luxury, ultra luxury experience. Because of the size of the Seabourn vessels and because of the Ventures program, it is a very different way to cruise Alaska, because we'll be in narrow waterways and channels way off the beaten track, for a very in-depth exploration, deploying the Zodiacs and the kayaks throughout the entire itinerary. That's why it's called Alaska and British Columbia rather than just Alaska. So that we deploy those Zodiacs and kayaks. As I say, that is something that our guests enjoy and now come back time and time again for. Even if it wasn't something they'd initially expected they would enjoy it, once they try, they become fans. This is a quick holiday snap from me when I was on the Seabourn sojourn there at the Inuit Islands in Cross Sound, on that Alaska itinerary. Just to give you an example of how it looks, this is just me with our small group of kayakers. There's a stellar sea lion popping up right up there in the middle. And the great thing about this is knowing that we came straight from the ship, directly from the ship, but further out and beyond are those ships sailing out there in the Gulf. We're having this incredible exploration, something few people can say they've had. And so they're the type of short excursions we have. And just to wrap up, because we've got a couple of minutes, and I know the next guy isn't going to be too bothered if I take an extra minute or so. That is, we're actually expanding our fleet in the direction of expedition. So we've got our classic 5 Seabourn vessels. We are going to be moving into expedition. We're not changing anything with the classic Seabourn experience, but we now have 2 dedicated expedition vessels on the way. They've got ice strengthened hulls. They have 2 custom built submarines. They can hold their position on a dime without dropping anchor. They can go off grid for 21 days without having to take on food, water supplies, offload waste, completely autonomous. They have just incredible technology, an open bridge where you can walk onto the bridge and spend time whenever you choose with the nautical staff and captain on board, which is incredible for cruisers to be able to do that. A bowsprit where you can walk over the bow and look all the way back around the ship. An infinity pool that looks off the aft of the ship. Those 2 submarines, six persons in each, they'll go 300 meters down. That's not 300 feet, 300 meters, so basically 1,000 feet. And there is a champagne chiller in those submarines. Just incredible technology. And here's a super quick snippet of what that season looks like. Her first, this is the Seabourn Venture, the first of these 2 ships. She'll be sailing next summer, staying all the way up in the North Cape, north of the Arctic Circle. And so this is great for the Northern Lights. This is the start of the season, then over to the Canadian Arctic, Greenland, down into the Amazon. When we cruise the Amazon, it's Manaus to Iquitos. We start in Manaus, where most other cruise lines end. That's where we start, and we go 1,000 miles west into the flooded forest and the tributaries. Again, we're deploying all those Zodiacs, kayaks. We have the submarines. Just a true incredible experience. And here's a quick run through some of the shots. She's got that kind of classic expedition kind of ski lodge feel. That's the Discovery Center. It's like everyone's having the same experience at the same time. There's a great community and camaraderie when it's an expedition, because the numbers are fewer, only 132 rooms on board, so basically 260 guests. Makes for a very social experience and just a wonderful way to reach parts of the world that you typically associate with more of a rough and ready approach to expedition. This is luxury, ultra luxury, no corners cut, and full expedition, no concessions there either. So that's it from me. I'm just going to wrap up now and finish off by mentioning the offer we have for you today, if I can get to my slide as I whiz through these last ones. And that is, when you work with Expedia Cruises and Seabourn, you will get a fabulous deal this month. Expedia Cruises are the experts in luxury cruising. They are experts in Seabourn. They have access to incredible deals. For example, this month alone, they have deals year round with Seabourn. You'll get better deals with Expedia Cruises than you would coming to us directly. But this month, October 31st, you can receive, depending on the sailing you select, the type of room you're in, up to $2,600 of shipboard credit for your suite. That's based on the length. There's a few factors there. So speak with your Expedia Cruises consultant. They'll let you know how much shipboard credit you could receive. So that's it from me. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If we don't have time for them today, reach out to your Expedia Cruises consultant and they'll reach out to me and take care of you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Tom. Now you can take a little bit of a breather. We're going to get you back here in just a couple of minutes. But, you know, just absolutely fascinating, the expedition product that you were talking about. And what I loved is when you were talking about sailing in different places and being able to get into small ports that larger ships cannot. And that really makes a difference. And I think with all of us missing out on travel for so much, we need to make up for something. And I think it's so important to treat ourselves to a ship of 450 passengers. You know, I mean, you may love the 3,000, 4,000 passenger ships, but maybe there's a voyage that you may want to do that has no lineups, caviar in the surf, and just being pampered, because I think we all have gone through enough in the last 19 months. So we need to feel a little bit more special. So thank you so much for that.